this week was on NAS, and it was a win, a 4% win. And this trade was one of those ones that had a very fast one for me. I think he spent about 15 minutes just before he reached TP. But something that happened in this trade was this. I went for a 1:3 at first, but something on the charts made me change my narrative, and then I went for a 1:2. And that's what I'm about to show you guys now, because if you look at the weekly on NAS, you realize that we took out liquidity, which was actually the reason why we had this reaction from the lower time frame. You guys know how markets works. To take out buy side, we have to first take out sell side, and to take out sell side, we have to first take out buy side. You understand the concept of liquidity being passing from one person to the other. So same thing that happened here. So after taking out liquidity, we had a reaction going on, which is one of the reasons why we had this market rejecting from this point. So this same narrative was one of the main reasons why I had a loss, which I'm going to show you guys on Thursday. The next trade I had was on Eurodollar, and it happened on the 27th, and that was a loss. I have no complaints about this trade because it was one of those trades that I considered my A plus setup, but it eventually turned out to be a loss, and that's going to happen to every single one of you watching here as long as you want to continue trading, because eventually you would come to a point where you will see a setup that you think is your A plus setup, and then eventually it turns out to be a loss, and it's fine. It just goes to show that it's part of trading, it's part of this business, and it's part of how life is. It's just the balancing of life. Everything that goes up must come down. Everything that goes sideways must go left, must go right. And like it's how life can actually get back into equality. But that's something I'm trying to still realize about my own trading, because if I have an upward and a downward movement, right, there's meant to still be a point where I can actually consider a fine tune, or a point where I can consider my edge. So something I just realized is me going back and looking at my former trades and realizing the patterns that is beginning to form is I have a win rate that is relatively above 50%, and then I tend to see wins on very good weeks, because you guys know I always look for high probability weeks. I don't look for weeks that have NFP, FOMC, CPI. No, I look for weeks that are just clean. So I I always have good wins on those weeks, one at least. So if I get those good wins, I'm meant to just pull back. And that's something I'm observing now. I don't pull back, and I go ahead and take more trades, and then eventually turns out to be losses, which is one of the main reasons why I had a break-even week this week. Looking at the next trade we had this same week was on the 27th, and that was NAS. I took a trade on NAS, and I took a loss. So if you guys can remember, going back to what I said on the first trade, we had a liquidity sweep on the weekly. Initially, I lost I missed out on this first trade, which was this. I missed out on this. So going back into the market now, I wanted to take a re-entry, because market took out liquidity from here, and then on the 5 minute we had a structural break here. I wanted to see a very nice tap and run because it was past 9:30. So that was the idea, but I overlooked the higher time frame, which was on the weekly, and we had a rejection from there. So you guys can understand why I'm always telling you guys to look at the higher time frame, because that's where the narrative builds up from. That's where the narrative always builds up from the higher time frame. And then if you know how the higher time frame is going to move, you can always position yourself as to where you want to take your next trade. So it was quite mentally annoying, because I wanted to leave this year with a break even, and I could have done that easily. But if I never had this loss, I don't think I would have realized the pattern sooner in my trading, which is the one wins I have in high profitable trading weeks. So it's not something I'll beat myself on. Just like I said, you guys will experience this kind of markets as well, where you see something as your high probability setup, and then eventually it turns out to be a loss. It's fine. It happens in trading. It's how life balances things out. And I don't know if I'll be taking another trade for this year. I think this will be my last trade for this year. It's been an amazing run, honestly. I would like commend myself for the consistency I've had from following terrible systems you guys have seen, to knowing how to tweak and how to refine and how to always come back stronger. Is It's been an amazing journey, honestly. I never actually realized, or I never actually imagined that I was able that I was going to be able to remain consistent on this, because the kind of person I am, when I start something, I usually just give out on it, and I would just appreciate you guys because you guys made me do this shit. I thank you all for making me stay consistent on this, because it has also affected other parts of my life. It has transcended into other parts of my life, and then I'm now consistent on other parts of my life as well. And that's one good thing about life. You never really know how things will go. You think things will go exactly how you plan them, but they never actually go how you plan them. They go how life thinks you need to learn. You get what I'm saying? If life thinks you haven't learned something yet, it would give you more lessons to learn from. But one thing is this: I realized, if life gives you a lesson to learn twice and you never learned it, the third time will be very hard. So never let life give you a third lesson. That's why I'm giving you guys my experience here, my journey. You guys should always pay attention to it, listen, and always have the idea to apply it in your own trading as well. Bro, look, see, I'll be honest with you, the money that is coming in 2026 is going to be mad. You guys will see it here now. I don't even want to talk too much on that shit, but like, it'll be crazy. Do you understand? It'll be crazy. But till then, let's just keep on remaining jiggy. And until I talk to you guys next time, stay safe.